So let's breathe into this moment. Take a deep breath in and a breath out. And let's bring our full attention, all of it, our entire consciousness, right in to this very moment now. To hear the rain, to hear my voice, to feel the sensation in your body, maybe cold hands, maybe the warmness underneath the layers. Bring our full attention right here, right now. This is where it all happens. In this one exquisite moment, one after the next. All of life happens in each exquisite moment. For knowing that, for smiling about that, for being in the moment, we are grateful, and so it is. Amen. Well, it brought some tears to my eyes. As I was thinking about, I'm going to talk about Jesus, because y'all know, if you've been listening to my messages from the last few weeks, that I've been really learning so much from this book called Love Without End, Jesus Speaks by Glenda Green that, well, just look at it. But there was this man who lived his life that no matter what happened, he was focused, it seems to me, he was focused on teaching love all the time. All right? Like he wasn't swayed by what was happening in the world. And boy, I get swayed sometimes, don't you? Don't you? Even the rain, it was like, gosh darn it, it's really raining hard at 2 o'clock. Like I could change the weather. Jesus says in the Gospel of Matthew, you can't even change the height. You can't even adjust your height by 1 cubit, by 1 inch. You can't select the color of your hair. You don't know the minute that your life will be over. And you're worried about this stuff? It's kind of crazy. But I digress. I digress with tears in my eyes about the gratitude I have for someone who can take on the human form and stand for love all the time. And we can all do that, by the way. That is possible. So, in fact, the first week that I used this book, the title of my lesson was Be Love. And in chapter 3, that's all Jesus talks about in this book. It's 25 pages that I read over and over and over again. It was all about, if there's ever a question in your mind, just be love. Just be love. That's the answer. Just be love. Last week I talked about, it was in chapter 4, and I talked about this idea of innocent perception, of looking at the world and knowing that everything is enough. And in fact, everything is more than enough. No matter what it is that's happening, this idea of childlike perception of the world. And this week, I skipped ahead a little bit to chapter 6, but I want to share with you the message there, the message in chapter 6. And the way it usually works for me is I start writing about it. Like in my journal, I'll start writing and I'll write down this and that, and pretty soon there'll be 2 or 3 pages in my journal done. And when I go to construct this message, then I kind of look at that and see what my thoughts were over the week as I spend some time in meditation, as I read this and have an idea. Where do ideas come from? They don't come from the brain. I believe all ideas come from the divine. It comes from creator, creation, universal mind, whatever your name is for that God. And so these ideas come and I put them down, and then I kind of put it together. And sometimes it's kind of tough because my message, my notes are kind of a puzzle. But they come together just fine. They come together just fine. So today, I want to share what Jesus talks about in chapter 6. And what he talks about is simply this: kindness. Kindness. And you say, oh, this is a topic I know enough about. I'm kind, Paula. What do you mean, kindness? Let me start off with this, what Jesus says. By the way, those of you who don't know, I've been sharing, this is a book that Glenda Green wrote based on her experience of Jesus showing up and talking to her in her painting studio. Back in 1992 that happened. She wrote this book and she recorded every evening what he said to her. It happened the same time that Neil Donald Walsh's first book came out, Conversations with God, which I thought was kind of curious. In the early 90s, the universe was saying, pay attention. We want to create a shift here, that's what I think. And here's what Jesus says to her. Kindness is not just an act of charity to the young, the vulnerable, or the needy. It is the will of God for everyone. It is the will of God. That caught me right there. That was a hook. That was me saying, okay, this is the will of God for everyone. The will of God for everyone. And that really opened up this idea of kindness for me because I hadn't thought about kindness that way before. Don't you think, well, kindness is what I do. It is what I say. But listen to this. This is a little shift for me. Kindness is actually the will of creation. It's the will of the universe. It's the desire of creation that we are kind. Oh, so that gave me a little bit going. Then he says this. Well, actually, she says this after he talks to her a little bit about kindness. She says, as I pause to think, I realize how many false impressions we have about kindness. You see, I think we have this limited imagination. We do think it's about courtesy and it's about tenderness. Like we think that's what kindness is. Somebody needs something for us, so we're kind. Or we hold the door. Or we give a smile. But here's what she says. How conveniently we settle for social courtesy and consideration as the limit of kindness. Again, here's another hook. Like, okay, like that's not enough. That's not enough. How readily we show concern while avoiding true involvement. Yikes. I was looking in the mirror on that one. How many children have been indulged when a warm hug and a firm no would have been a greater kindness? How easily we have indulged ourselves when restraint would have been a greater kindness. How often have we worried all night pacing the floor when going to sleep would have been a greater kindness? How frequently have we contemplated revenge when we should have forgiven and released? Ouch. You see, kindness is more than courtesy. Although it's that, kindness is more than tenderness and gentleness. Well, it's that, but it's more than that. It's more than that. Kindness is more than that. Here's what Jesus says. Kindness is strength in action. The confidence that comes from showing kindness is a masterful influence over every situation. Think about how much strength it takes to honor your true potential instead of diminishing it. Think about your word. If you were at the White Stone Ceremony, what was your word? Did you claim it? Rather than diminish it? Oh, that mustn't be me. Or how about this? Consider how much strength it takes to show goodwill to someone who is hurting you. Kindness. The will of God is powerful because it allows us to be kind, to show kindness, to channel God in even difficult situations. Like, this is blowing my mind again. I never thought of kindness this way because it's not me who's doing kindness. It's like the lesson on love. It's like there is no one who has more love and less love. There is no one who has more kindness and less kindness. We only show it to the level of which we are in line and aligned with it. That's the truth. Here's the thing too. Some people stumble over this will of God thing. You know, the will of God. As if God is some, long-haired guy in a white robe and a gold G on the thing, sitting somewhere, making things happen. That's not the God we're talking about. What it is, the will of God is the universe, the expectation in the universe The intelligence of the universe. That's what I'm talking about here. That's what God is. The intelligence in the universe. The will of God. It's not it's been co-opted. You know, it's been co-opted into this thing that said, when we use it like this, well, it must be the will of God. Always about something awful. Always about something terrible. Always somebody else, by the way, too. Well, it must be the will of God. No, no, no. No. The will of God has been like I said, co-opted. It's been misunderstood. The will of God is simply one thing. To be kind. That's it. To be kind. So as I was thinking about all this week, of course, I found stories of extreme kindness. Because that's what I was looking for. Brittany Bowe, who is an Olympic speed skater, gave her position on the Olympic team to her Olympic teammate, Erin Jackson. Erin Jackson was ranked first in the world, but at the Olympic trials, she slipped, and she came in third. Only the top two qualify. And Brittany Bowe said this about Erin. She said, Erin has earned her right to be on this 500-meter team. I knew in my mind before that night was even over that if it had to come down to a decision of mine, she could have my place. That is the power of kindness. That is the power of the will of God as kindness. Now people say, well, she qualified for 2 other events, so she probably did. Really? Really? That's not kind. That response has no kindness in it at all. Maybe she should have said, well, I could have had 3 medals instead of 2. Like, why do we make up a story like that? Like that night she decided that's what she was going to do. Because Erin Jackson, she decided that Erin Jackson deserved that position. And I can't imagine how competitive Olympic sports are, can you? I mean, goodness. And to say, here, my friend, this is yours. You deserve it. Yeah, Erin Jackson. How about the Uber driver, Devontae Williams? You heard about him? Have you heard about him? He was traveling with a teenage occupant as an Uber driver, picked her up at Union Station in Washington, D.C., and was coming down 95 when that snowstorm hit. All right, the snowstorm hit, you know, you've read the story, snarled traffic, everything stopped. He found a way, somehow, to turn around and get her back to Union Station 5 hours later. He picked her up at 2 a.m., by the way. He got her back to Union Station around 8:30 in the morning. And instead of just dropping her there, she got in touch with her parents. He talked to them. He got her a hotel room. And not only did he do that, the next morning, or later that day, I guess it was morning, later that day, after they both rested from being on the road all night long, picked her up and took her to her destination for no additional charge. Why is that so amazing? Because it is the demonstration of the will of God in action. That's what it is. That's what it is. And Jesus says in this book, you know, when we make these generalizations about kindness, when you read these really neat things on Facebook, or you see these really great quotes from great authors about kindness, that's all well and good, but the kindness we're talking about is specific. These examples are specific. And he said that is where the power of kindness is, in specific action. Specific action. Not, ooh, how nice. So I want to get a little specific. I want to get specific here. Here it is. Let me start with this statement. Anything that does not lift up, that does not heal, that does not soften, that does not have for its purpose the lifting of the whole, is not kindness. Anything less than that is not kindness. Anything that does not heal, soothe, lift up for the good of all is not kindness. And so these are some of the things that came to mind specifically about what kindness is not. And maybe some of the things that I carry. It's typically what you hear from me up here. Stuff that's on my mind for me. Unforgiveness, resentment, anger, and frustration. Obviously, there is no kindness in any of it. None. How about these things? Side glances, eye rolls. That's one of my favorite emojis. Eye rolls, clenched mouth, just not wanting to say anything. Tisk tisk. Shaking the head, looking away, grunting. You know that one. Right? That's not kind. None of that is kindness. None of it. None of it is kindness. Name calling. You know how we have a tendency to generalize about whole groups of people? Like them and they? Unless you're saying they are all so sweet. Like when you leave here and you'll be like, God, everyone there was just so sweet. That's okay. That's kind. But it's the kind of saying, you know what? They've got it wrong. They're causing trouble. They're the ones. They're the ones disrupting all of this and that. And there's another one. It's called gossip. Gossip. You know what the definition of gossip is? The definition of gossip is idle talk or rumor, especially as it relates to someone's private or personal life. Malicious chatter. Sorry, I'm going to project and say we're all guilty. Is gossip kind? I don't think so. And you may counter and say, well, but it's not malicious, really. That's not the question. The question isn't if my words are malicious. The question is, are my words kind? Are my words kind? That's the only question. This idea of gossip is just what consumed me. Not consumed me, but I was thinking about it all week long. It happens on the phone. It happens in person. There's nothing more interesting to me than a group of people gossiping about something and so happy that everybody agrees with their gossip. With the rumor, with the unkind words. And they're like, yeah, I'm in the right group. I'm in the right place. You all agree with me with my gossip. Yeah. It happens on social media as well. It happens on social media. Not only what you post, but also what you share and forward on. Is it kind? A lot of times it's gossip. So do you want to do something about it? Or have you all mastered it already? Anybody master the gossip thing? All right, I got a few things from you. I got a few props, actually. So we'll see. So the first thing we do with gossip is this. Stop it. Stop gossiping. If you are in a group that is gossiping, stop. Just don't engage. Don't engage. Maybe you have to walk away. Maybe that's the best you can do, is to walk away from the situation. Maybe, just maybe, you can hold in your heart loving kindness instead of the gossip. Maybe that's possible. But the first time is, all right, maybe you do this first, all right? But really, stop the gossip. Stop it. There's a story in here from that Glenda Green shares with this gentleman, Brian. There was a lady who worked with Brian in a supervisory position. She terrified everyone with her pushy, angry, aggressive, and domineering personality. Brian privately called her hell on wheels. Anybody relate? Privately to comment on someone's life and to judge it that way. Then one day he collected himself and said to her, right? So, stop, slow down, stop. He collected himself and he said to her, you are actually a very sweet lady. From that point on, she was kind to Brian. He saw the real truth behind the facade of horrors, and with an act of kindness, their whole relationship changed. That's the power. That's the will of God power of kindness. Then it changes that. So stop. Just stop. Walk away. Offer something. But stop. Stop. Stop it. Here's the next one. Filter it. Stop it. Filter it. You recognize these? All right? Filter it. Filter it. Filter it. And how do you filter it? You remember this. You filter it this way. Is it kind? First, is it true? Is it kind? Is it necessary? Your words and actions, filter them. Filter them through this. Filter your words and actions. How about that? Filter that gossip through this. We wouldn't be gossiping if we did this. Is it true? Is it kind? Is it necessary? Stop it. Filter it. Here's another one. I don't like pen. Edit it. Edit it. You know that email? You know that post? You know that forward post? Edit it. Edit your words. Cross it out. Take out the things that are emotion-driven. Take out the things that are triggers, that you know are triggers for people. Take it out. Edit it out. Be done with it. Maybe, just maybe, the best thing to do is to get rid of it altogether. Don't send it. Be done with it. Edit it. Edit this gossipy thing that we have, this judgment. You know what? The world doesn't need our opinions. It needs our kindness. The world's full of opinions. There was a guy that I used to work with in the construction industry said, everybody's got an opinion and Paula's got two. That's what I was known for, 2 opinions. Couldn't shut my mouth long enough for one, had to have 2. I hope I've grown a little bit since then. Edit it. Edit it. Does it make sense to you? It does to me. Edit it. Get it out. Here's the last one. It's a secret, evidently. It's covered up. Oh no. The battery is done. Open up to it. What? Get rid of it. It's supposed to be the light. Open up to it. Open up to the will of God in me. Open up to it. Right? Let this light shine. What am I doing wrong? Yeah, that's my go-to. I always think I'm doing something wrong. Golly. Open up to it. Open up to the will of God. Open up to the universe and its desire for you and for me to be kind. You know, this message isn't about somebody else who thinks, oh, you know, they really need to do this right here. No, they don't. You need to do it and I need to do it. We're the ones that showed up here. We're the ones that showed up to hear this. We're the ones. Me and you. The brave ones. The brave ones. Huh. Worse things have happened. Worse things have happened. Here's a quote from Martin Luther King Jr. Since we celebrate his birthday tomorrow, this came to my attention. Life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others? What are you doing for others? How kindly can you treat yourself, and what are you doing for others? The most persistent and urgent question, according to Martin Luther King Jr. I think I say I agree with that. I agree with this. Kindness is the will of God. It's the desire of the universe that we express kindness. So let's take that into meditation this afternoon. Let's take a pause and let's consider, how specifically, Jesus said that's the key to kindness, is the specific. How can I be more kind in my life? How can I show more kindness? Let me expand what kindness is. And what is it that I can do, that I can say, that I can be, so that the will of God is bright, shining bright as a light in me, through me, and as me. So let's take these minutes to sit in meditation together. happens all the time in heaven. And someday, it will begin to happen again on earth. That men and women who are married, and men who are lovers, and women who give each other light, when people all over the world, strangers and lovers, family and friends, old and young, all colors and cultures, often will get down on their knees, and while so tenderly holding each other's hands, with tears in their eyes, will sincerely speak, saying, "My dear, how can I be more loving to you? How can I be more kind?" So let's pray this way as we do at Spiritual Soul Center. Pray with me, please. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be peaceful and at ease. May I be happy. May all beings be filled with loving kindness. May all be well. May all be peaceful and at ease. May all be happy. And so it is. Until next time, yes?